Evening, guys. All right, so it is 4:30. We should have this actually up and posted here rather shortly. Um, and so hopefully you're able to get to it and able to get your notes done earlier tonight than what you have been. I know that would be helpful for everybody. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to be looking at solving systems of equations, and we're actually going to move into another method now of doing that is called elimination. Let's, I guess, lack of anything else to say, let's go ahead and get started. Alright, so you have this equation. You have negative 3x minus 4y equals negative 6. And you have negative 6x minus y equals negative 12. In order to do this, okay, the goal is obviously that we want to be able to get we want to be able to get at least one of the numbers, or the variables, excuse me, to have opposite coefficients. And the reason we're looking for opposite coefficients is so that way we can go ahead and we can just add the two equations together, and it'll cancel out one of our variables for us. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to look at how to do this. Okay, so when we look at the first part, we see negative 3x and we have negative 6x. Well, I can multiply negative 3x by one number to get negative 6x. But let's see if there's an easier one we can do. Okay, so I could also multiply the second equation by 4 to get this to be to be 4y. So I don't want to use the y because that's going to give me bigger numbers, but I could use I could multiply the first equation by a number to get rid of the x's. So that's what we're going to go ahead and we're going to look at doing. We're going to try to get rid of the x's in this problem. So when I look at the first equation, I know that I want these to be opposites, so I'm going to have to multiply. Since I already have a negative, I'm going to have to multiply this whole equation here by a negative, and I'm going to multiply by negative 2, which will allow me to get rid of this. So that's going to be 6x. This is going to be plus 8y equals, and negative 2 times negative 6 is positive 12. Okay, so now I have this equation and the one I just wrote, and I'm going to add them together. So these will cancel out. This gives me that'll be 7y equals, and 12 and negative 12 is 0. And I'm going to divide by 7, and I get y equals 0. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take y equals 0, and I am going to plug that back into one of the equations. So this is the only, like, the part we just did is actually the only part that is any different than when we did the it's the only part that's different than substitution method, in all honesty. So once you get to this point, then it's going to be the same idea as what we used when we did substitution method. So now I'm going to take y equals 0, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to plug that back in to one of the two equations to find my x values. So I'm going to say negative 3x minus 4 times 0 equals negative 6. This is negative 3x minus 0, so this is going to be negative 6. I'm going to divide by negative 3, and I get x equals positive 2. So now let's go ahead and let's check our answer. So I'm going to say negative 6. I'm going to plug both these values in back right here into the second equation. So this is times 2 minus 0 equals 12. Excuse me, this is negative 12. Negative 6 times 2 is negative 12 equals negative 12, and this checks. So then my answer is 2 comma 0. Okay. Let's go ahead now and let's look at example number 2 now. Okay. So in this one, I have negative 2 here, and I have negative 3, and I have negative 2, and I have 3. So it's not going to matter which way I do this. I'm going to have to end up multiplying both equations by a number, because I can't multiply 2 by a number to get 3, and I can't multiply 3 by a number to get 2. So I'm looking for the least common multiple, and in this one, let's go ahead and let's get rid of the y, since they're already opposites. So that means I'm going to multiply this equation by 3, and I'm going to multiply this equation by 2, because the greatest or least common multiple between 2 and 3 is 6. So this gives me 3 times negative 2 is negative 6x. This is negative 6y equals negative 6. And this is going to be negative 6x plus 6y equals negative 18. I'm going to add these two equations together. This gives me negative 12x. These will cancel out. And this gives me negative 24. Now I'm going to divide by negative 12. And I get x equals negative 24 divided by negative 12 is going to be positive 2. Okay. So here's my x value. Now I'm going to take this and I'm going to plug it into one of these two equations. So I'm going to say negative 2 times 2 minus 2y equals negative 2. This is negative 4 minus 2y equals negative 2. I'm going to add 4 to both sides. I get negative 2y equals 2. Divide by negative 2 and I get y equals negative 1. Now we're going to go ahead and we're going to check our answer here. So I'm going to say negative 3 times 2 plus 3 times negative 1 equals negative 9. This is negative 6, and actually 3 times negative 1 is going to be negative 3, and that's negative 9 equals negative 9, and it checks. So my answer then is 2 and negative 1. Okay, so this is really just that first step in getting the equations to where you can just add and subtract them. That is really the only this is really the only difference between substitution method and elimination method. So if you have any questions, please make sure you write them down so that you guys can ask me when I get back. I hope you guys continue to be well. I got good reports for today, so I'm hoping you guys continue to be good for our sub for tomorrow, and I will see you guys on Monday. Have a great weekend.